Two squad Democrats are now drowning in active federal-grade scandals on the same morning, and the walls are finally closing in. Ilhan Omar's name surfaces 6 times in the resurfaced trial exhibits from the $250 million Feeding Our Future child nutrition fraud case. Aimee Bock, the convicted ringleader of wire fraud, conspiracy, and bribery, was emailing Omar's office in February 2021 with the subject line, "Help with USDA food program." Days later, Bock and a Feeding Our Future employee who fled the country after his 2022 indictment were exchanging messages titled, "Ilhan's Office." A text message string between Bock and Omar was recovered when the FBI raided Bock's Minnesota home on January 20, 2022. Omar herself wrote and championed the Meals Act in 2020, the law Republicans say ripped the guardrails off the federal child nutrition program, and created the conditions for the entire $250 million scheme to explode. Feeding Our Future submitted just $3.4 million in meal claims in 2019. By 2021 that number rocketed to nearly $200 million as bogus shell companies posed as food sites that never fed a single child. Omar appeared on Somali TV inside Safari Restaurant, one of the convicted Feeding Our Future entities, touting the Meals Act in Somali. Records show Omar's campaign spent nearly $10,000 at Safari Restaurant between 2018 and 2020. She missed the Minnesota Fraud Committee's May 5 records deadline. The committee's subpoena attempt was killed on a May 6 vote, and now Chair Kristin Robbins has sent letters to Chairman James Comer and Senator Ted Cruz asking Congress to use federal oversight power to pry those records loose. Aimee Bock is sentenced May 21, 2026, and prosecutors say she has been leaking documents from behind bars through her college-age son to shift blame onto elected officials. Vice President J.D. Vance has now publicly accused Omar of immigration fraud, while ICE Director Tom Homan confirms the federal review of Omar's 2009 marriage records is actively underway. Senator Ted Cruz has laid out 3 separate criminal exposures Omar would face if the long-running marriage allegations are proven: federal marriage fraud, Minnesota state incest law, and tax fraud on jointly filed returns. Now switch to the other scandal that detonated this week. Pramila Jayapal, Washington squad Democrat, went on tape in Seattle and admitted she has been in conversations with the ambassadors of Mexico and other Latin American countries to figure out how to get oil tankers into Cuba. This comes weeks after she and Representative Jonathan Jackson took a 5-day trip to Havana, met with Cuban dictator Miguel Diaz-Canel and Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez, and returned reading from regime talking points. President Trump signed an executive order in January threatening tariffs on any country shipping fuel to Cuba, and a sweeping second order on May 1 widening sanctions to penalize foreign banks and firms dealing with the regime. Jayapal called those sanctions an economic bombing of the infrastructure of Cuba, repeating the Castro regime's own propaganda almost word for word. Republicans Brandon Gill, Ashley Moody, Claudia Tenney, and Clay Fuller are now openly calling Jayapal's conduct treasonous and a clear violation of the Logan Act. The Logan Act bans private American citizens from negotiating with foreign governments to defeat U.S. measures. Jayapal admitted on tape she was doing exactly that. She tried to spin it on X by writing that members of Congress meet with foreign ambassadors every day, but she was not negotiating about U.S. policy. She was trying to open a fuel pipeline to a communist regime under active U.S. sanctions. This is the same lawmaker who has called for ending the embargo, removing Cuba from the state sponsors of terrorism list, and introducing a bill to block Trump from using military force against the Castro regime. 2 squad Democrats, one tangled in $250 million of stolen child nutrition funds, one openly conspiring with foreign powers to defeat American sanctions, and both refusing to back down. The Trump administration says the federal anti-fraud crackdown is just getting started. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and Colin McDonald at DOJ are coordinating the cross-agency push. AI-driven fraud detection systems are now being deployed inside SNAP, Medicaid, and the federal benefits agencies to stop fraudulent payments before they leave the door. This is what real accountability looks like, and it is long overdue. MAGA voters are not going to forget either of these stories. The era of squad Democrats laundering taxpayer money and running shadow foreign policy is over. Want to wake up and be completely driven for goal state and flow state? Download No Mercy on Google Play. It's an Android alarm app that keeps you committed to success. No Mercy allows you to set goals and get persistent reminders until you achieve it. I'm Van X, creator of No Mercy. MAGA only and never socialism.